I usually paint little houses or any houses which are unusual, different, quirky, any of those type of reasons. So, there's a lot of houses very, I have to be careful what I say, but bland. But any little house which is different and got something unusual about it, I'll have a go at painting. If I put the bins in doing the painting, I always like putting bins. I used to put people in paintings, but now I put garbage bins instead. I don't know, was there any connection? I had, unfortunately, possibly this house will be knocked down and subdivided and units will be put up here, but it's just a changing what's happening in the area. More curb sanding on my old dust jacket. I'll wash it once a year, but now the oil paint's all in it, so I'll just grab a rag from over here.
Well, Frank Nowlan has had probably the most remarkable late start career of any Australian artist. When I first encountered his works in the 1990s, I must say I was deeply unimpressed. But what's really extraordinary about Frank is how quickly he developed a really recognisable style and avoided all that teachers were meant to tell him about how art was meant to be. Almost instantly, he grabbed the place that he'd lived in since the 1970s, and he must have been looking at for a full 20 years before he put paint to canvas. And what he's been able to do is capture something remarkable. His first series were the letterboxes of the houses in Thirroul, and then he did a series on the sheds of Thirroul, and then he looked at the really quirky things in our environment. And from that time on, I've just been so impressed with the eye that he's had for bringing out the local, the quirky, the characteristic that encapsulates what Thirroul is all about. One of the most remarkable things about Frank is not only did he have an eye for history, and because he was once a history teacher, and he's got this real eye for the past, but one of the great tragedies is just about every one of the buildings he lovingly depaints would almost seem they're on a hit list, because the moment he paints them they get demolished. And so his works are already, some of them, historical mementos of a past that we've now lost in Thirroul.
Once again, a Bulli house. This is a Balgownie house, and this house here, it's a house about 500 metres down from Sandon Point, and it's really taken from the artist Pierre Mondrian, the Dutch artist who ended up in America.
He'll choose buildings, sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly, and they've got this incredible past. And what he'll do is pick out the little details in those buildings, the architectural facades, the railings, the gratings, and it gives a sort of body to a work. But that can only come from having that lived experience of a town. It's not just someone turning up and painting a pretty landscape. It's someone who sees the ugly as well as the beautiful.
You know, I went to teachers college and I learned to be a primary school teacher. And a part of primary school teaching, you had to do English and those subjects, and painting and craft. And I used to get the girls to do my craft. But I like painting. We had a good teacher there, and she taught Brett Whiteley to paint. At Bathurst, Brett was going to school at his last year at school, and she was at the teachers college and came into teach. So she taught me, and so I got interested in painting. That was the age of 20. And I didn't do anything till I was 50, so there was 30 years. You know, you go to galleries and have a look at things, and I, so then at 50 I said, I went along and went to many little hobby schools, Allen up to Bulli and Bathurst CAE and the Julian, all these little schools, and for a couple of weeks. And I think I've developed my own style, and Guy Warren, who was running the looked after the art of Wollongong University, the collection. I sold a painting, but he came in and said, "Frank, what art school, what university did you go to?" I said, "I've never been." And he said, "Don't ever go," because it would change what I do.
What Frank's achieved is very rapidly he achieved an incredibly distinctive style. He's, if you like, the archetypal outsider artist, and because he hasn't got that huge body of academic training behind him, he's able to just look at his environments and say, well, I think I can represent that.
I suppose I have been lucky in a certain way, in as far as I've retired, I've got a superannuation, and I don't have to sell my paintings. It's if I never sold another, it'd be great. I have the freedom to paint what I feel like doing.